As world leaders convened at the UN, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa once again called for urgent reform of the UN Security Council. Africa remains unrepresented among the 5 permanent veto-wielding members.
78 years since its formation, the structure of the United Nations Security Council remains largely unchanged. Africa and its 1.4 billion people remain excluded from its key decision-making structures. This cannot continue. The Security Council has not fulfilled its mandate to maintain international peace and security. The UN Security Council must be reformed as a matter of agency.
For 2 decades, Africa has been advocating for 2 permanent seats on the Security Council. While the US supports Africa's inclusion, it does not back veto power for the continent, which is only held by the current 5 permanent members.
The P5 and the veto is like a poison that lies at the heart of the UN system. And without addressing that poison, and nothing in the UN system really can move forward. Not only the US has regularly invaded other countries, but you've got a P5 member, Russia, which has invaded another country in complete contradiction to the founding principles of the UN Charter.
If United Nation believes in equality, human rights, justice, I think it is fair that Africa's argument that it has to be firstly included and secondly included on equal status as of other powers in the world. That means 2 seats in the United Nations Security Council.
Representation on the Council would give Africa a greater say in matters that directly affect its future.
Whether it's hunger, disease, peacekeeping, conflicts, question of climate change, and you name it, Africa has and remains at the center of the global crisis. And you cannot resolve this crisis without Africans themselves. Not a question of having them in the room for photo shoots, as the case at the moment.
At least 60% of the UN Security Council's agenda is focused on Africa, yet the body has failed to effectively manage volatility and conflicts on the continent. African leaders are calling for the UN to be more inclusive so that the voices of all nations, particularly those most affected, are heard. Julie Shara, CGTN, Cape Town.